Okay, welcome. So, last guy standing there outside, please take a seat. This is, I think, the last session that is relevant for the certification. After this, Heike Glogi will be here and wants to say hello to the tech community. Also, Doug Keeley, our speaker that you have seen yesterday, will be here and will do a short closing. After all this is done, we will have a short tech talk thingy. So if you want to stay here, we will have the whole pre-sales team here. We can discuss topics. And also Doug Brown will tell us a little bit about the community thing that we already told about. So yeah, that's what's the plan for the next hour and a half, I think, something like this. But don't worry, if you want to leave after Heiko was here because you have to drive home or something like this, you will not miss anything for the certification, I want to be honest. So just having the chance to talk to the pre-sales guys and stuff like this.
Yep.
So this session is the IGEL Cloud Gateway, and I think that's the session where I'm most excited about, not only because I and Jeff will tell you, but I really love this product. It changed my whole 2017. I saw the idea of the IGEL Cloud Gateway and was like, okay, sounds good, but let's see if it's working. So you know, if you release a new product, we as a technical stuff guys, we always are a little bit afraid if it will work. And we started with the first implementations, and it just did a good job. I had no real trouble with the Cloud Gateway. The first version was a little bit bumpy, but the second version was really good. And it's up and running in a lot of environments at the moment. I go to a lot of projects at the moment to integrate the Cloud Gateway to existing environments. But I think not everybody here in this room already has an idea what is possible with the Cloud Gateway and how the technical implementation looks like. So I will shortly introduce you to some use cases that we have now figured out in the last 12 months. Also, I will show you how the architecture looks like, what you have to know about our IGEL Cloud Gateway. And then we will hand over to Jeff Feige, who will show you how to install it. And it's an installation directly on the console in the Linux. So it's good if you see how it's working and that you see you don't have to be afraid of it. It's, I think it's a
pretty straightforward installation. Linux people here? Anyone? Yeah? Cool. Hey, that's more hands than usual. That's fantastic. You know, to Christian's point too, when the Cloud Gateway first came out, the first thing I did is I took two laptops at home. I opened up my UMS server from my house, and I installed the Cloud Gateway. And I went to the bar, and I put one laptop here, and I put one laptop over here. And so this laptop I was controlling through my Wi-Fi hotspot or my LTE hotspot, and this one was controlling the UMS from my house. And it was really awesome to sit there and watch, you know, because this is behind NAT, and this device was just, you know, RDP into the machine at home. It was very neat.
Yeah. Yeah. So to get everything online, what is the IGEL Cloud Gateway? It's our UMS connected to the outside of your company. So if you have home office users, if you have people working on the road, all this stuff, we can use this to connect all these devices to the UMS. Because I've seen projects in 2016, 2015, where people tried to put our UMS to the internet to manage devices. And it's not designed for this. So that's why we came up with the idea of the Cloud Gateway to just give you the possibility to connect devices all over the world. And in the end of our session, we will try to connect to a real-life ICG installation that I've set up in Amazon. You all, I think, figured out that the wireless here is a little bit difficult sometimes, so we will see if it's working properly. But normally, if we have a good connection, it would work. So let's see. Press thumbs. So let's take a look.
Try again.
Yeah, try and try. So I think one important thing is to understand the use cases for the Cloud Gateway. Normally, or what I mostly see at the moment is the Cloud Gateway is not a product that you see as a single product. In the most cases, I see it combined with our UD Pocket. It's a small, nice device that you put somewhere, and you can use it everywhere. It's working with every device and all the stuff. But if the people take it home and connect it, there's no management server. You have no control about the device and the configuration. And that's what we change here. So one of the use cases that we see is the home office users. If we think about home office users today, there's a lot of, okay, I will put a PC there with a Windows, install a TeamViewer so that I can manage the device a little bit. I have to send someone with a firewall that makes a VPN connection and all this stuff. So there's a lot of work. And if it's not working, the people call in the support hotline, and you're like, okay, I'm not sure how to help you. Somebody has to drive there to check the configuration. If it's not online, what would you do? So I think this is a really good thing if you have home office users that just connect to a Citrix environment, VMware environment, whatever, to think about our cloud gateway, because we are able to manage the configuration of the devices remotely. So it just needs some kind of internet. Doesn't matter if it's your firewall that you placed there or it's just a small private internet connection that they have from their provider. We can communicate both ways behind every firewall that is on the side of the home office user. For you, the good thing is that we have a standardized operating system. Today, there's a lot of, okay, yeah, they have a Windows 7, they have a Windows 10, maybe they have bring your own device and they bring MacBooks or whatever, and you have to train your support staff on all different kind of problems that could occur with all the different type of operating systems. And here, we have our IGEL Linux that will be every time the same for the support staff to handle all the stuff and to do the configuration. So less support hours. It's easy to roll out, of course, because you just send the UD pocket, you just give them a letter with a, okay, please start it up and then put this address and this password and then you will get a configuration. And for me, I think it's a really good thing. There's no mix between business and personal data. So if you use the UD pocket, they have to bring your own device, maybe, and they have a local Windows with all the private stuff, and then they also use some corporate data there. That will be a huge problem in the next months with GDPR. So let's just split them, have one operating system for work, and if they quit working, just plug it out, start the Windows or macOS or whatever, and play around and do Facebook and YouTube and whatever they want.
So I have a really great business case in the US. So we have a customer that they onboard hundreds of employees per month all across the country. And what they used to do is they used to send out a little kit with a voice over IP phone, a VPN, and a little thin client. And what would happen is it's a very high turnover company. So every 2 or 3 months they lose an employee. Well, they never get that hardware back. So every time they would deploy a new employee, they would lose $600, $700, $800 just sending out this equipment. Now they send out the UD Pocket, and they don't care. So when they plug that pocket in, when you have it set to reset in the UMS, the device just doesn't work anymore. It doesn't connect to their environment, and they just get rid of it. It's very nice.
Yeah. And the last point, of course, secure environment. So if I think about, so I have 10 years in system administration, and if I think about the home office users I've had in a situation like Spectrum meltdown, I would have a bad feeling if they patch it. And I am not able to patch the devices in the home office. So there's a few points for home office users that can be solved with this solution. But also we have the road warriors, people like Jeff, people like our pre-sales team, also you, a lot of you probably are traveling a lot with your laptop, and you can get in situations where you could have a need for a solution like this. So for me, there's one big point. I had to talk to a customer that said, I really love this solution because if my general manager from the company, he's a VIP user, so if he calls IT, everybody stops doing whatever he did and starts focusing on him. And if he's traveling to Shenzhen in China and calls me and says, oh, my laptop is not booting, but I need it, what do? Sitting 8,000 kilometers away, how should you support him? And he said what he did is for all his VIP users in the company, he said, okay, just take the UD Pocket here, put it to your keychain, take it with you with no configuration, anything. And if you need my support, I will be able to help you. So he had the situation a few months later that he said, okay, there was a call from the general manager sitting somewhere in Dubai and said, okay, my laptop is not booting. And he said, no problem. You remember the keychain thing? put it in, boot it up, wait a second, and now please put this and this, next, finish. And then the device configuration was coming over the internet, and Citrix NetScaler popped up, and the guy sat there and said, okay, now I can work, I have my Citrix, everything is good. So it can help in a lot of cases that you don't think in the first shot. So there's also a lot of other stuff that we can do here. And also, another customer is from the finance industry, and they have a lot of contractors. And the contractors want to have access to the environment. They want to get some data, some email stuff, calendars. If they are sitting together with the company for 6 months, they need to work in the environment, but they bring their own laptops. And IT has no control about these laptops. And they are working from everywhere. They are working from home, from the office of their company, in the company where they work for, and all the stuff. So this also can give you here the possibility to give them a secure system where you can configure anything on the operating system, and you can take control over the system so that they can't take out data and all this stuff. So this is a solution also in these points where you just want to have full control about the device, but it's not your device. So yeah, so where to get everything, of course. You can download it on our download portal. Also now, the myigel.biz, I think a lot of you already know it for a long time, but now this is also all on our website. So just go on downloads, and then we have a nice overview. There's also the hash values of the binaries and all the stuff. So if you need something like this, go directly on our website. The documentation for all this stuff is for free. It's our eDocs. Most of you probably also know this. And we have a lot of videos produced by our pre-sales team sitting here in the room that explains how to install all these steps that we see here. Also, you can just watch on YouTube and take a look later if you really need it. The installation can be done in 30 minutes. You will do it in 15, hopefully. He's not doing it the first time, obviously. But it's really easy to install. Where's Carsten? Carsten over sitting here. We did an installation on Amazon with creating the certificates, connecting a domain and all the stuff. I think it took us 1 hour to do everything. So it's quite easy to install. First, let's take a look to the architecture. This is our default architecture for the UMS. You can have all these slides afterwards, so you don't have to draw it now. But we have the standard setup of a UMS server, the database, our thin clients, our console. And this, you see, all the stuff is here, and we only have to have one additional thing. And that's a really easy way to implement. There's not a list of 20 ports that you have to open. There's not a bunch of servers to install. It's quite easy. You just have to install the Cloud Gateway appliance or the Cloud Gateway installer to a Linux-based machine, and you need 2 ports. And important is, it's not, in the first shot, you don't see it, but here it's all both directions, but here the arrow has a meaning. So you only need a connection from the UMS server to the Cloud Gateway. You don't have to open a port to your local data center inside direction. And the same is here for the thin client. I don't know why the thin client image is missing, but there should be a thin client.
Bug number 1.
Huh?
Bug number 1.
Bug number 1. But also here, we only need that the thin client gets a connection to the Cloud Gateway. We don't have to have anything on the side of the user that opens a port. And we will keep the connections open to have the way back. So if we want to send a configuration to the thin client, we are using the communication ports that the client opened to send it back. And that makes it a really secure solution, I think, because no open ports from outside, and also easy to install on this side. So then it's part of Jeff Feige.
All right. Well, this will be exciting. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to install the IGEL Cloud Gateway on Debian Jessie 8.10. And I see bug number 2 here. It looks as if the power supply is not actually supplying power. So let's hope all this stays up while we're here. and it'll be fine. I think I have plenty. If I need to, I can do some other things. All right, so let me fire up. What I did, I was going to do a full install of the base operating system as well, but the wireless is so poor that even just doing the initial package updates and whatnot took like 35 minutes. So let me see what I have here. All right, so whoops. All right, so what I'm going to fire up here is an already installed at a base place version of Debian Jessie. Just take a second to boot up here. And really, the only thing I did during the installation, I thought I would just show you guys the configuration. So you don't need a desktop environment, and you might as well turn on an SSH server because it's usually pretty helpful. So that was just halfway through the other install. This one's ready to go. So the very first thing that we're going to do is we're going to drop into the Linux environment, and we're going to configure our static IP address, right? So I hum when I do things on the computer. I apologize for that. So we'll change this guy over to static, and we'll set our address. And of course, this will be unique to whatever environment you happen to be in. For mine, of course, this is the important part here. And I need to make sure I set the gateway correctly, not like earlier today. Trying to figure out why the packets aren't going out. So I've just reconfigured it from a DHCP address to a static address. So I will take the interface down, and I will bring the interface back up. And we'll check the IP. And see what we have. So we have an IP address. Can we ping the outside world? We can, and we can ping the gateway, of course, too, so that's good stuff. And the next thing you're going to want to do is configure the time zone for the server. And in Debian, that's pretty easy to do. You just say dpackage reconfigure TZ data, and you can choose wherever you are. I'm just going to be in New York because, hey, it's easy. I just hit it a couple times. And then, of course, whenever you're dealing with SSL certificates and whatnot, you always want the device to have current time data. So it's always a good idea to install the NTP client, and it's pretty much ready to rock and roll out of the box. Just takes a couple seconds to install. So we now have our NTP client set up and installed. And another thing you will probably want to do is install cron apt. And what cron apt does for you is it takes the device, it takes the Debian environment and makes sure that the updates are done on this server at all times. So you don't have any issues with, WannaCry, which didn't affect this anyway. But, whatever happens to come down the road. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go over here and we're going to go ahead and download the ICG. And you can see where we can go to grab that. So we can go myigel.biz. And we go to IGEL Cloud Gateway. And the very last binary here, the installer 103, make it a little bit bigger there, 103.100. I've already downloaded this to the local environment. So that's pretty straightforward. And now that the device has an IP address and has NTP installed and cron apt, I can close this window and actually shell into it with, so at this point, you could use PuTTY on Windows. You don't have to be in the command line of the virtual environment as well. So we'll shell into the environment. Hopefully I remember the password. All right, so here we are. I'm going to change over to root, and we're going to continue with the installation. So it's very simple. You can right-click. This is a great thing about Linux. So I'm going to right-click and say copy the link location of the download, and I'm going to go into my Linux environment and just paste it. and download the IGEL installer binary, which apparently is going to take way longer than it needs to, which is why I have it locally on the device here. So I already downloaded this, and I will just SCP it to the device itself. It is really bad internet here.
Welcome to Germany.
Yeah, it's not good. All right, so I've copied the binary up, and so now we have the binary ready to install on Debian, but there's a few other tasks that we need to take. So we need to go to our management server, and we need to license the ICG functionality. Now, the easy part about licensing the ICG functionality is that we will give you an activation code, and you go out to activation.igel.com and you plug that code in, and then you plug in the, well, I'll show it to you real fast. It's very straightforward. So basically, this is the portal where you can manage all of your licenses and subscriptions for the UDC3 and the IMI and all the other bits and pieces. So you plug in your new activation key, and if I don't type it incorrectly, F80, come on, 77A, C8, 7F.
You're not typing, I think.
Really? Come on. All right. Bug number 2. All right, I'm still typing, right? If I look away too many times, I get confused.
It's good. It's very good.
And I don't know if that's a B or a 6. My handwriting is terrible, so I did already copy and paste that. We'll solve that problem. Doesn't that suck when it's your own handwriting and you look at it and it says it's either B6 or 6.6, I'm not sure. So you submit the activation key, and then it will ask you for your UMS cluster ID, and you can grab that right here from the server piece. And it's this right here. You can copy it. There is a double dash in here. A lot of times people will write this down and neglect the double dash and plug it in, and it generates an incorrect license that doesn't work. It's one of my favorite support calls. But you basically take this guy, plug it in here, say submit, and now I have an ICG license file that I can go ahead and download and apply to this device. So ready to rock and roll. So now I go back over to the IGEL UMS console that you guys saw a little bit earlier today, and I go to UMS licenses, I click on plus, I grab my license, I apply it. So now you see I have a license here for 100 devices. And the next thing we need to do, this is just for a simple installation. You can use a third-party certificate as well. But what I'm going to do is create a self-signed certificate. So we'll go ahead and plug this in here. This is IGEL, and we are in Bremen, and it is DE. I'll click on OK. Takes a second. Yeah, it's a little bit of, well, all the VMs. And then the next thing that we'll do, we'll create a signed certificate from that. Same thing. Put my information in. DE, and then the host name or IP of certificate target server. So this has to match the URL, or the FQDN rather, of the cloud gateway. Because if the certificate doesn't have the proper common name, you can't put in here, Jeff is cool, and then try to hit a UMS server that has a FQDN of something like IGEL Cloud Gateway. It'll fail every time, and you'll beat your head against the wall. So this one is IGEL ICG. Man, my eyes are getting worse. Demo DC IGEL.de. Yeah. And click on OK. So now we have, as soon as it's done.
Do we have a Jeopardy jingle?
Yeah. Well, at least it's not going to blue screen. We know that. It's a bonus. All right, so you click on the chain here, or on the certificate itself, and you export the certificate into the IGEL key store format. So I'm going to put this in the same folder. And now all that we need, we have our certificate for the UMS. All we need to do is take that key store file, which is sitting here, and also push that up to the ICG VM, right? So we copy that guy and say, right, now we can shell back into the VM. We'll switch over to the root user, and we'll copy those two things out of the home of the installer and the key store. Come on. Oh, that doesn't matter. We'll do it this way. All right, so now in the root, home of root, we have the installer and the key store. Installation is very straightforward. We just add execution privileges to the installer, and we say installer, key store, and hit enter. And it's going to tell us that, oh, well, we're missing some packages. So it's nice. It actually will tell you that you are missing things. So this is really straightforward to do. You say dialog, UUID runtime. I could copy and paste it, but that would be too easy. And we hit enter. And so if you guys run into this, see it says here, media change, please insert the disk. That's just a configuration error, isn't everything? And that one's really straightforward to fix. It's just one of the Debian sources. And if you're a Linux guy or girl, this is easy to do. And if you're not, well, maybe you can watch this video, and it's pretty straightforward to do. So, all right, let's do this again.
So maybe we should also say there's a prepared appliance.
Correct. So we also have an OVA for this. That's Debian Jessie 8.5, I think.
Yeah.
The biggest challenge for me, again, being a Linux head, I like to build the machine myself. I'm not really a big fan of other people's Linux OVAs. And our OVA doesn't get updated as much as these do, so it's a little bit more flexible. You can also install this on Ubuntu 16.04. It does require a 64-bit operating system to install, so if you start beating your head against the wall and you realize you're doing it on a 32-bit environment, that's more than likely the problem. All right, so now let's do this installation one more time. So we path to the installer and to the key store. And it really is nothing more than a next, next, next. It asks for the path, the port. It's going to create the Tomcat user if I don't scroll all up and down here. All right. Now it's going to say that it's starting Tomcat. And since this is on a VM that's a little limited in RAM, it's probably going to complain that the Tomcat server is taking a little while to start. Yeah. So you don't have to hit yes here. I mean, you can. It usually takes about 30 seconds to come up. If you hit no, you can check to see whether or not the service is running by using the systemd commands. So you say system control, and then you say status. Come on, I hate this trackpad. It's such a status Tomcat. And you can see here now it says that it's running and we're ready to go. The ICG is now installed. It's done. So what we can do is I will go ahead and start up a UDC3 instance. So this is our UDC conversion software running in a virtual machine. And I will connect this to this ICG we just created. So while that's booting up, I'm going to connect the ICG to the UMS, which really is kind of an important part if you want it to actually work. So it's pretty straightforward to do. We go here to the IGEL Cloud Gateway piece. We click on the plus. And this is always the good moment here, right? This is the part where if you messed up the certificate, if your DNS doesn't work, right? If the management server has to be able to resolve the FQDN, the ICG has to be able to resolve the FQDN, the console, everything needs to be right. So let's see how accurate my, All right. Ready? Come on. Daddy needs a new pair of shoes. Hey, there we go. So the Cloud Gateway will show up here. It'll have a checkbox next to connected. And you can pull down the little twisty there, and you can see that it says the WebSocket connection has been established. So now, all that we need to do is we go to our device. Now, when your end user takes the device, as Kristen said, you take the UD Pocket, you plug it in, you punch in a couple of things, and it automatically connects. So the one thing that we need to do here as well is we need to create these passwords. So we need to either create a single-use password, or, for example, we have a customer that just rolled out 9,000 of these using the IGEL Cloud Gateway, and they didn't want to use 9,000 individual one-time passwords. I can't understand why, but you can create a multiple-time password. So now I can go in here and I can say I want to create a multi-use password, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I say OK, and we should be good to go. I can drop this down and show you. Right, so there's our password, fantastic. And now I'm going to go to our, I'm not going to play any music. I'm going to go to our UDC. And so when the UDC comes up with a wizard. So if you were to plug this into a laptop and the end user plugs it in, the first thing they do, they select the language, select their keyboard layout, the time zone, set the time and date if they want, and then we just get to the ICG agent setup. And it's really straightforward. All they have to do is they plug in IGEL ICG demo DC IGEL.de. And if you have a third-party certificate that is supported by one of the root certificates on our device, you will not receive this server fingerprint piece. This is just an additional security measure because it's a self-signed certificate. So we go back to the management server here, and we click here, and you can see we have a 4-piece fingerprint for the certificate. So I'll just go move this out of the way, and it's the 4th one. So another reason I like VirtualBox, I will cut and paste. And I think it puts some extra spaces in it. That's fine, or a tab. And then we'll use that one-time password, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We'll click on Login. And it says ICG connection ready. So now, even if you were out in the field, this device, and you can see it's going to register the thin client with the UMS. So this device is now under management. And depending on the rules that I used in the management server, it can come under management and go directly into a configuration folder. So just to show you what that looks like, the device will now be in the warehouse folder. And it has a little bit of a different icon. It has a little cloud next to it. I'm going to take this device and I'm going to drag it into the San Francisco folder. I'm going to say now. I'm going to click OK. And this device, through the cloud and the Cloud Gateway, will pick up configuration changes for the San Francisco office. It's really cool stuff. I mean, and it's really kind of neat to manage these devices when you're out in the wild and you hand somebody a UD Pocket and they plug it into their laptop, and the next thing you know, you can start managing it remotely. It's really quite cool. So I'm going to reset this guy.
Yeah,
and
that would be cool.
Christian's actually going to take through his hotspot and connect it to an existing management server. So, let me just reset this guy to defaults. Yeah. And yep, rock and roll, and make this guy full screen. And
perfect.
After you.
So now will be the magic moment to see a real life demo. That's why I've put it in the end. So we have seen.
Yeah,
normally it's working.
The Cloud Gateway that I just showed you has, they're both on the same subnet in a virtual environment. So, there was no out to the cloud and back, but it's the same thing. There was NAC between both sides. So it was about as much as you can do without, so yeah. Good luck.
So now we have the Cloud Gateway. This is our demo environment that we use in our sales and pre-sales team. So this is, the cloud gateway is installed on Amazon in US East region, I think. Also, there's a UMS somewhere else. So this device has no direct connection now to the ICG or to the UMS. So let's see. We will leave the language on English, but oh no, it's use layout. That's okay. And then we come to the magic part that we have seen already a few moments ago. I will now try to convince the device a US keyboard.
Uh-oh.
Wait. Okay.
Now you know what it feels like.
I'm so sorry for you guys. So let's see. Now you see I have put a real certificate, so you can go with Komodo, with a bunch of things. So then all the normal certificate vendors will work here. And we don't have to put the fingerprint. I think that is a much more convenient setup for a normal user, like a general manager, because of course we as tech guys are able to do this, but normal users don't want to do weird stuff. Then I will put a password, a highly complex password.
That looked really secure.
And let's see, it says connection ready. That's a good first step. Say finish. And then let's see. It will register the thin client to the UMS server that I have in the cloud. This now can take a while if the connection now is slow, and I tried it yesterday 15 times to prepare for this. And in 7 times it was working good, but 7 times it was not. Seems like, well, seems like
fantastic.
It could work today. So, depending on the internet connection now, he's transferring the configuration data already to the device. And he also...
Actually, we're still on the wireless here. We should have switched over to your hotspot.
Yeah, would be better, but let's see. Normally, it now should start changing the behavior of the device. So I prepared a default configuration for the device to get a different background image, to get some sessions on the desktop. Let's see if it's happening. I will give it a little push. It's just rebooting it. Yeah. Sometimes I've seen it helps the device to do a little bit faster than what I want from the device.
That's the Windows code.
Yeah, reboot tut gut, we say in Germany. So let's see if it's now getting some configuration stuff. So it's connected to the network, connecting to the cloud gateway. You see the small cloud there. Oh, you disabled the trackpad.
No.
No? It doesn't recognize my finger.
It's there.
There we are. So took a little bit longer because of the smaller speed, but now we see the device is somewhere outside. It's not a big image, but it takes some time. But it could be some device somewhere in the world. So I'm doing this if I'm visiting customers. I just go there and say, okay, I have a UD Pocket. Can I have a device from you? I will plug it in, connect it to my demo environment, get the small, nice hedgehog on the screen to show the customer that is what we are able to do, and that is up and running. It's a productive environment for me. So I think around about 60 to 80 sales guys from IGEL are using this every day at the moment. And it's just working. It's just doing his job as it should. So we can now try to connect to the UMS behind the whole thing. But as we've seen, the internet connection is really slow, so let's see. Oh, seems good. I'm surprised. Huh?
It's called thin wired for a reason. It doesn't use a lot of bandwidth.
So maybe also some people switched off the wireless. So that would be...
You could done the Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
Everybody turn off your phones.
That was a great
this
show.
demo has to work.
So let's
wait here all day.
let's see. Oh, yeah, I don't remember my own password. So also the UMS I've set up on Amazon here.
Nice.
And you see a lot of folders. That's our playground. You see all the names of the pre-sales guys out there. They have their own folders. And we just have our Cloud Gateway folder. It's my default directory, what I've configured. So I've done here something that I said, okay, all my devices that are registered with the Cloud Gateway automatically go to the demo Cloud Gateway folder. And on the Cloud Gateway folder, I've put some basic stuff like the wallpaper, some stuff that there's no screensaver. Sometimes I talk a lot and the device is just going to the screensaver. That's annoying for me. So a lot of stuff here that I pre-configured, and I didn't have to touch the configuration of the device. So my boss is sitting in Shenzhen, connection lost. Okay, but now we have seen everything that we wanted to see. So now if my boss is sitting in Shenzhen and needs some help, I can just tell him, plug in, boot, put the address and the one-time password that I gave you, and then you are able to work again. And that's the magic behind it. So I think that's all we wanted to show in this session. So let me check. Where's René? So now I think it's the part where Heiko Glogi comes, or Doug Kelly.
Heiko Glogi, but he comes 1:15, so we can talk about the test.
Okay. So, yeah. Jeff, can you tell the guys a little bit about the test?
Yeah, so it has some questions on it that you have to answer. It's keyed mostly to what we talked about on this, obviously in this these sessions, right? It's something we were going to try to do it here, but the biggest challenge that we had is truly the Wi-Fi. And the last thing we wanted to do was have to deal with all of that. So what we're going to do is everyone's going to get a link before the end of the month. You can, if you don't get something very shortly, you can send an email to your local pre-sales engineer and we'll get you taken care of. We'll also make sure that the videos are available and the slide decks are first so you can review before you take the test. And yeah, you'll get a certificate. You're the first group of IGEL certified engineers ever. It's fantastic. It's so awesome to see all you guys here. This is just absolutely wonderful. We'd love to get some feedback on it as well. Yeah.
So there's one thing I would like to know. So I've seen a lot of people sitting here all the day together with us. I know a few of you, but there's also a lot of faces that I've never seen. So can you raise up your hand if you are in a job that is technical? Wow.
Nice.
And can you raise up your hand if you're of a job that is sales? Oh. Okay.
Oh.
So hopefully it was also for the sales guy something that you could take with you and you could get some idea about this topic. But it's a lot of, I thought it is much more sales. That's a lot of technical guys related to IGEL, I think.
Yeah, it's
That's
pretty cool.
quite cool. So, yeah. Now we are waiting for our CEO.
I can come back.
Yeah, do you want to have a mic?
Yeah.
So after our opening this morning, I'd like to thank every one of my team who is doing a great job. So our idea doing this technical bootcamp was also creating this ICE stuff was to run initially an idea that we are given. But what's very important is to get a feedback from your side, because over the year we want to create the certification for IGEL, and you are the first one who took this, but now we're saying you are able to give us a feedback to make this certification better and better. So I'm pretty sure if we're doing a certification half a year, it has nothing to do with what we've done today. But it also it can only be good if you're getting us feedback, so we can create something great out here. So this is my wish that you, after going home safely, hopefully, take your time, think about what we've done here in the last 2 days, and give us a direct feedback. So, yeah, we can work on the certification and also work on us. And for this, getting feedback or talking with each other. We have Doug Brown here. Maybe Doug can also come in front of you, because what he's done, yeah. I talked about this earlier. We started a tech community. Maybe we can use the time and talk now a little bit about this.
Can you stand up?
Should I tell them what you guys did to me last night?
Oh, that's a cool story, yeah.
Is that PC?
Yeah, it is. You know, I'll tell you guys what they did to me last night. I like Sambuca a lot, and so I like to get a little Sambuca and just sip on it while I'm watching TV with my girlfriend. And so these guys found that out. So they said, "Hey, Doug, let's have a Sambuca." So, and I'm talking, you know, Jeff and I are talking or something. So I go, "Yeah, hold on, I'll be right there." You know, so I go over and, "Oh, sorry, we already took our shots." So there's 4, 5, 6 shots, right? So I take mine, whoop, and go back over, talk. "Hey, Doug, we're having another one." So I come back over and, "Hey, we already did ours." Boom. Then Matthias did the same thing to me, right? You know how many Sambucas they ordered? Like, how many? Just for me. The other ones, they just ordered empty glasses. So they drank 0 Sambuca. I drank a lot of Sambuca. Now I can use some choice words for them, but I won't do that. First of all, you also really, these guys, what they've done is amazing to put all this stuff together. A lot of work, and René talks about his people, but René was a huge part of this, and this is all new, and Frederick, well, the entire team. I mean, it's just really phenomenal for me to come in and watch this, especially just after being a year. So, just give them a big round of applause, because you don't know. I mean, wow. Really, really impressive stuff. So I've talked about it 2 or 3 times, so I don't want to bore you with it, but if you don't know about the IGEL community, my goal at the company is to really get all you guys, keep you informed, get you and bring us all together like this, so that we can, together we're better, right? And knowledge is not power. Power is in sharing of knowledge. And that's why I'm standing here, and that's why anybody knows me. Not that I'm smart, it's that I took everything else that everybody else did and shared it with all you guys, right? So I got the credit for it, not on purpose. I don't want that. But, that's, again, knowledge is not power. Power is in sharing of knowledge. So we created IGEL Community, IGELcommunity.com. It's a very simple LinkedIn group. The LinkedIn group itself is not that much fun. It's just, hey, here's a new white paper. Hey, new version of IGEL OS, right? And so join that. It just keep you in, especially if you're part of LinkedIn. Well, you have to be part of LinkedIn, right? And then, that'll show up in your timeline. If it's something extremely important, LinkedIn will actually email to you, so it'll go in your inbox. But the thing that I find really amazing is the Slack channel. How many of you guys use Slack? So if you're not using it, download Slack. It's 100% free, and it's really amazing software. I was actually recommended to do this quite some time ago, and I was just sort of dragging my feet on it because I was busy and I didn't know it. And once I did it, I was like, amazing. So it's been online for just a few weeks now, and we had over, in just a few weeks, 1,500 messages fly back and forth, which seems like a lot, or it seems like too much, but it's not, because it's very well organized. And we have different channels for different things, so you can go into a group, and if you have ICG questions, you can post it there. We have a chit-chat ones where we're just, all of us are just chatting about, I don't know, Carl Webster's weight, believe it or not, is one of the subjects, which, and then we have, UMS. We even have a channel for product recommendations, right? I mean, we all, think, oh, it would be great if they did this, right? There's official ways to do that, but then there's the unofficial way, which is our way, and then we can start bubbling that stuff into the official way, because they see that all of us want it. In many ways, the techies are the unspoken or the unappreciated, or not unappreciated, but, they don't, how do I say this? We have a lot of power if we work together and are able to share all that we know. And the thing about techies and engineers are, we know all the gaps, we know all the holes, because we have to face them and fight them and fix them, right?
Unsung hero?
Unsung hero is a great way to phrase it. Everyone, I'm a CIO, everyone wants to do anything for me, but if I'm the engineer that really makes the CIO look good, nobody gives a shit, right? So, this is what the IGEL community is about, is together we're better. So please join. Please join. I think you guys will love it. And it's not something you have to go on often, but if you have questions, I mean, these guys are answering all the time. Christmas, New Year's Day, really pathetic, but That's, you know, we're out there working because it's what we do, it's what we love, just like you guys. The other thing is we talked about that doc I put together, right? I am not an expert. I'm a newbie. In fact, that document was very much me learning how to do it. I would love your guys' feedback. This is a community document, and I went back to IGEL and said, no, this is not publication. No, we don't need to proofread it with, you know, journalists and make this thing perfect, right? We want to make it sound like I talk. So if you like the way I talk, then read the doc and you'll get more of it. If not, then
it means there's a lot of pages.
Well, actually, yeah. There's actually not a lot of pages in it, or there's a lot of pages, but mostly screenshots. So if you guys would like it, it's on the Slack channel, brown@igel.com. I'll send it to you. I would love you to try it because it works for me, but I don't know if it works for you guys yet. So I'm still waiting for the final feedback on if my steps work. So, and if you contribute to it, I'll put your name on the thank you page, and your name would be in lights and forever enshrined in the IGEL history of this cool thing we're doing. So Heiko's here, so let's... that's it. That's all I want to say.
So I want to say how we want to close this. Mr. Glogi will come, tell some words to you. Then the official part of the ICE thing is done. What we want you to offer is that we have all the experts from IGEL here. If you have questions, like to discuss a little bit more, we stay here. So after the speech from Mr. Gloge, we take a break for 5 or 10 minutes to get some drinks there. And if you like, come back again and we can discuss about everything you like to do some interaction. But now I'd like to say thank you again and welcome Mr. Gloge here on stage.